Welcome to my Sorare Journey. This must be episode 54 by now. If you've never watched before, don't worry. It is going to be pretty much an update video on how my club's going. I've made a couple of big acquisitions. Not a strategy change, I know people are getting on my back, but being more focused on the strategy, getting better at it, and trying to improve the gallery. So yeah, let's just start getting into it. Straight off the bat, 1 hour ago, we picked up Samuel Lino in rare. If you want to know why I picked up this guy, I've actually been doing a short series on basically value and no value buys. And what goes into that is a lot of kind of research and me trying to find deals on the market and people that aren't priced where I think they should be priced considering alternatives you can get in the market. And this guy really stood out to me, and I didn't have one because I don't like to just, pump every player that I have, even though obviously it's a lot easier for me to do that because if I've bought them, it's obviously because I think they have good value to them. So yeah, I was mixing in, I was researching, I was like, this under 23 forward doesn't really make sense to me. It seems a cheap value. Let me show you. So if you're looking for under 23 forwards, right, and you're looking on more of the budget side, I'm looking by last 40 here, and the only kind of player, all of these players are in the £1,000 range. The only two are £256 for Lino and £289 for Sinistera. So Sinistera's been injured at Leeds, and obviously he's taken a big step up to the Premier League, which is massive. Samuel Lino's last 40 is slightly inflated because of his time in Liga NOS in Portugal, right? So I am aware to that, but even if you filter by price, if you're looking at his price now then, so you can see all of these scores are pretty much orange, they're all in the 40s, except for a few, and his stands out on the last 15 as the highest. The only one close is Moffey here, and even then, if you look at his price, it's still quite substantially more at 329. So then on top of that, for Moffey, you have one less year of under 23 utility, and he's at a worse club where his transfer news is a bit more speculative because Lino's owned by Atletico Madrid, so you pretty much know he's going back there, staying in the same league. It's a fantastic situation to be in. So I don't play under 23. I'm paying at under 23 premium, but essentially, because I think he's undervalued, I'm more than happy to use his normal utility, and then when he gets to a certain price, which I think is more fair for an under 23 forward that puts up his scores, that we know the transfer projection for him, I'm happy to sell him on. So I really hope he can hit the ground running. One thing I did point out in my shorts is that his average is with 3 decisive actions in 15 games. So that's not that great for a winger / striker, not that great for an attacker, right? He could easily have 6 in 15 or go on a little run. And then I really think people will be taking him more seriously. That could be my chance to get out, and then I can use some of that value into a non-under 23 player. So that's what I was thinking there. Yeah, I have quite a sizable gallery, so I was able to afford someone that's £250. But I do want to bring up the fact that, trading on this game, because there's 0% tax, is so beneficial. I very rarely do it because it takes away from my strategy, which is obviously playing SO5 well, winning as many rewards as I can. But I realise I'm in a favourable position, and I just want to show you, in about an hour, I turned £39.45 into £42.75. Is it a lot of money? No, it's about £3. But the fact I did it in about an hour, if you really just grinded this for small stakes, all that cost me was £43. You could build from that, and you could build a gallery up and over time become better at the game in terms of, your knowledge of the market. I think that'd be a great thing. It'd be so fun. I do miss my trading strategies. That's why I want to do a little bit here. But yeah, just showing you there's definitely opportunities in the market, especially when I think things are looking up for Sorare again in terms of player prices. I've seen the market, auction volumes going up and other things like that. So I'm quietly confident that prices will go up, but of course not financial advice. This is a game and it's just my thoughts, so I promise not to take as long on every other player. So my next one, Christian Gamboa in rare. You may be looking at him thinking, last 15 of 40, what do you know? And the answer is nothing. I know, next to nothing. This is not some secret underdog. Bochum are one of the worst teams in the Bundesliga. They might get relegated, but he was available for £22 for a last 15 of 40 and a last 40 of 45. So first thing that says to me is that his last 15 is 5 points away from his normal scoring. So I'm like, okay, could be great for the cap mode, especially in rare. I don't have as much depth as I do in limited. And then he's £22. And I was looking around the market and I can't really see players on that level. And then on top of that, I really wanted to get early on this trading strategy. And the trading strategy is now we have, the second divisions of the top 5 leagues in Europe. So we've got the Serie B, we've got Liga Secunda, Bundesliga 2. All of these are going to be scored next season. So any team that gets relegated will probably go up in value. And I don't think people have considered that, right? But people were willing to wait 3 to 4 months for the MLS to come back. But I tell you what's better than that. If you can have 4 months of utility of a player, and then at the end of the 4 months, the player's value actually goes up as well, I find that a much better trading strategy. So I'm trying to get in really early on this, where I can get a player for £22 like Christian Gamboa, and a little shout out, he's actually ex-Celtic as well, which is great for me. But if you can get him, Get him to score +5 projections in the cap mode. That would be fantastic. And even better is, he's a wing back. You know when he's going to score badly. Let me show you his scores quickly, right? Augsburg, good game. Borussia Mönchengladbach, bad game. Borussia Dortmund, very bad game. Wolfsburg, surprisingly good game, but he got clearance off the line. That's almost a bit more luck-based. Essentially, what I'm trying to show you here is when they get battered, when they play really hard teams like Dortmund and Gladbach, they're going to be on bad scores. It's the same for any winger. Even like Hakimi, the stronger the opposition is, the worse he's going to do because of the duels won. Because he can't take on many players, they're going to be taking on him. They're going to be getting beat and losing duels, all the rest of it. Essentially, predictable scores, very, very cheap, ex-Celtic, and I think he can go up in value in like 4 to 5 months. I think it's great. Of course, it's not without its risk, right? Bochum could just stay up. That would be a bit painful. But then what? I've got a player that I've, £22 that I've kept for 1 game week, 2 game weeks. It doesn't really matter. I'm quite happy with him, to be honest. But by bringing in Gamboa, I did have to accept one of my worst L's on Sorare. Vitolo's super rare. I picked this guy up. He plays for Las Palmas, and he was expected to kind of come back into the team and potentially challenge for a starting spot. This was great when I was trying to play All-Star Rare Pro in advance of the World Cup. Post that, I never saw him get a start. He got injured, and I'm sitting with a super rare when I have no other super rares. I don't enter that division anymore. It was a completely pointless player, but where do you value him? His last sale was £153. I got him for 134, but if we look at the rare price, which obviously a lot more liquid, he's selling for £7. So, super rares at this level are kind of 2x, 3x, so £14 or £21. I managed to swap him for a player that is worth £22 on his average, and this is, of course, with the main man, Pavel Trader, and realistically, he's probably closest to a £30 player anyway. One thing I don't talk about enough is that you have to take your losses. You have to take your medicine and say, I made a mistake, or this didn't go right, let's move on. What benefit would me be in holding Vitolo? And I see so many people doing this. It's like, when he's back from injury, he'd be worth more. But it's like, well, in this case, when Vitolo is back from injury, he's still pointless to me. We still don't know if he's getting in the starting spot. Focus on someone else. Take your medicine, move on, and that's what I've done. It's tough, it's not easy. You have to lock in a loss. I've done it, and let's hope we look up with the next one. Christian Gamboa, Celtic legend. You've got a live offer. Is he going to be wasting my time? Almost certainly. Oh, wow. He actually wants my Samuel Lino for £275. Now, that is a tricky one, because I could guarantee a £25 profit here. I'm not going to. I've just spoke for about 10 minutes on why I think he's undervalued. You can't take a £25 offer. But that would be like a 30-minute £25. So I'm going to reject it. Do I counter? I'll put in a counter. Let's be smart here. Let's check his price. So if he's on sale for 362, I think I could put an offer in at 340, 330, see if he bites on it. He probably won't. We'll go 335. So we've put in a counter offer of 336. It probably won't get accepted. It's quite far away from where you'd expect to sell him. But if I could make 70, 80 quid in an hour or so, it's very hard to say no, especially for a player that doesn't perfectly fit my strategy. But I would miss him. I'd probably get his limit. If you've been watching this short series, you would have seen I bought these players whilst actually making the video. So Kawasi just got into starting lineup. Essentially, his last 15 is lower than I think he scores averagely. So I'm like, okay, this would be great for, adding to the depth that I need to really compete in the cap division. I really want to take this seriously, not to the point of hitting the threshold, to actually winning prizes, to winning the division, to getting on the podium would obviously be the dream scenario. So Kawasi is a good depth. And then if you think, I also considered that in the next episode, the only person that could knock him off his starting spot is someone coming back from injury. And we have the best case scenario where they could both play, or Kawasi plays 2 more games, which pushes Benedict Pitchler's last 15 to like a ridiculously low score, like 32 or something, which would be the best case scenario in either way. So I think there's a lot of upside with these two. I am looking to maybe swap them out for rares, but the problem is Pitchler doesn't have any rares. There is 6 on sale, but yeah, they're all like £200. He's like a £70-80 player, so I'm definitely not playing that. Did he get accepted? No, he sent me a counter offer. 308. I think I'm gonna, I'm not that bothered about selling, so I'm gonna do a little trading strategy here where it's like, right, I offered you a nice value, now I'm not gonna come down anymore, I'm actually gonna go higher to kind of be like, stop wasting my time. So stop wasting my time is probably a bit dramatic there. It's kind of I'm playing hardball. I don't want to let go of this player. If you want to get him, you're going to have to play a serious premium on him. And Millicent Fernandez. So I picked him up as a reward, which was fantastic. And he looks like one of those players that's going to, as time goes on, his L15 is going to drop. It's good to have depth in the Champion Europe division. So I think, I can hold on to him. He looks like a solid player. Nothing too more to say about it. The only thing is I won him because I made the worst decision of putting Jovic over Skriniar. Skriniar would have won me like a tier 1, and I think I ended up with tier 3. So there is a bit of pain. I do feel recently I've been really letting myself down on the SO5 side. I've not been taking fixtures considerably, and that's not talking about that game. That was Inter versus Napoli, top of the league. It was very unlikely a defender was going to score well. That happens. I'm talking more about my limited teams really, and I'll try and show you them in the end. But it's like I'm not looking fixtures deeply enough. Maybe I've got too many teams, and I think I need to condense that down because I feel like you're just wasting assets, you're just wasting utility of players if you're just not taking it seriously enough and considering these options. Let's see what he's come back with. Another counter offer of 320. Whoa, that is a tough one. I'm going to go back with what would be my lowest offer of 333, spot 33. It's quite close to what he's just offered. I'd be surprised if he actually denied it, to be honest. But let's see. I could be letting go of Samuelino live here. If you're looking at why I'm doing that, it's because he's never sold to 333. I got him for 256. He doesn't play for a game week or two. So what I could do is actually hold that funds, wait for an auction, get another one, or maybe just look at different things in the market that I've been looking to improve my squad on. But yeah, we'll see. He's already back, I think. What's he done? Rejected it. Fair enough. Maybe he'll drop me a message on Discord. I'm not too bothered either way. We made a small 1 game week punt on Predrag Rakovic, just for 1 game week. This is kind of the price. This is actually a slight profit on what I sold him at. Because he kept a clean sheet, because he's got a favourable fixture coming up, I'm not going to panic sell my player. I'm going to sell him as close to the deadline as I can. That's 3 days time. I hold him for a week. I think people get into the mindset where if they do a 1 game week buy, they've got to sell him as soon as the game week closes, as soon as they can get him out the door. And it just shouldn't work that way at all. There's obviously a lot more buyers closer to the next deadline, and compared to closing of the current deadline. The only time this doesn't work is if they've got an awful fixture coming up, in which case I'd say, probably research that before going somewhere else, and maybe you want to send him to Pavel if you expect his value to drop that dramatically. So I think we won Brawl Bloom, and then I sent him to someone because he got his card stolen or kind of scammed off him, and then he sent him back to me because he got favourable returns from the guy that actually scammed him, which was very nice. Isco I spoke about as a 1 game week punt, as a transfer punt. I think the likelihood of him going to the MLS is quite good. I think that he's good enough. He's only 30, where he would just absolutely rip up the MLS. That's my opinion. That's why I've only taken a small punt on it. There's not much stats in it. I won with Fulu, probably going to look to sell him. And then we got Pellegrini. If you watched the last episode, you would have seen I picked up Pellegrini, but what you wouldn't have seen is this Pellegrini, because I changed it for a new version. Let's speak about it. I made this trade, and I'm not sure it's what everyone would have done, but it's definitely what I do. It's my strategy. It's a video I've spoken about before on how beneficial I think XP is. This is particularly relevant to Pellegrini because he got the new season XP for actually last season's cards because there's no new mints. So it's a bit more risk with it in case they do finally agree a deal with Roma. That's fine. I'm aware of it. But I paid £46, right, for about a £750 player. So just over 5% for a 5% bonus that increases with time. And for me, if you can get some of your top players at 5%, right, you're essentially getting his last 15 as 63 plus 3 points. If you're looking for a 66 averaging player, you are paying a lot more than a £46 premium. So that's where I think it makes sense to me. It's very difficult to say this is just one rule and you should always do it because it depends how good the players are, it depends how good your lineups are. But on the balance of things, I think it'll be beneficial to me as, obviously I intend to be in the rewards as much as possible. And it's kind of a small price to pay. If you think about that, that's going to be a low value card. The opportunity cost is quite low. That's why I've done it. I've done it with Dybala as well. And I think I've done it with one of my other Roma players or maybe it was Griezmann, something like that. I got the new season card with the XP bonus. I really think it's beneficial, but it's not advice because every situation is completely unique. But worth checking out the XP video if you don't know what I'm talking about. It was something I put a lot of research into, done a lot of number crunching, and no one really watched it. Maybe it's the algorithm, but yeah. If you're thinking, you seem to have a lot more ETH than you did last time. I've sold a lot, and by a lot I mean all now, of my basketball cards. So yeah, that was pretty much it. This was a Pellegrini offer I showed you on screen at the end of the last episode. I didn't talk about it. I don't intend to talk about it now, But what I do want to say is how much of a legend Pavel Trader is. I was in the hospital making this offer, and I actually forgot to include Pellegrini. So he could have taken me for £930 worth of cards and just said, F you, I'm never going to deal with you again. I'm taking your money. He messaged me and said, I think you made a mistake. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. It does show he is a good guy. We call him the devil, dancing with the devil, Pavel Trader. But obviously that's all just tongue in cheek. It's because he's so hard and difficult to deal with. But I've done so many good transactions with him over the days. You've just got to understand he will accept any card, no matter how bad they are. He just wants 20% on top. So, use it to your advantage, move quickly in the markets. Liquidity is key here. And he offers that. I love it. So big shout out to him for not accepting my awful offer. And I'm fine. It was just a checkup while I was in the hospital. Don't worry about that. Leagues are back, but there's definitely a few that are rolling back. And I've got 7 teams out this week, included this La Liga draft. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go make your La Liga draft now. It's free to play. There's 200 rewards up for offer. Anyone can win them. It's definitely worth it. It'll be a lot of fun. I'll show you my team for that because that'd be a good thing. But before I get into that, Serie A Challenger Pro. This is a new league they've rolled out. I haven't even seen them mention it. And I was like, well, I've got a full Roma stack and I've also got Skriniar, so I can just add that to a team and see how it does. I'm going to monitor how well the rewards are compared to players. Currently, 50 rewards for 140 players. 50% chance of reward, yes please. Also, I'll have quite a good team. Roma Florentina isn't the best fixture ever, but it's good. And then, is it Inter are playing Hellas Verona, who are bottom of the league. So that could be good for Skriniar as well. 4 stars on offer, 15, or the difference 15 and 6 would be 9 tier 1s on offer. I think that's great. So yeah, let's see how that does. Will more people enter closer to the time, make it worse? Definitely. How much worse will they make it? Who knows? So this is likely how my team will look for the first game week of the La Liga. I didn't put too much effort into it. I'm not a La Liga buff, but I do know little bits and pieces. All black and gold just seemed far too cheap for his option. Obviously I've also gone with, you can't see it now, but it's ter Stegen and Koundé as a defensive partnership. I fought for Barcelona. They've been quite solid at the back this season, so I'm going to gamble on them because they've got such a good price. They're really cheap if you think about it relatively to the rest of the platform or the rest of the players you can pick. So I was like, that's great. This Jimenez, don't know anything about. I know Cadiz has a favourable fixture, so I only needed one fixture because Koundé is going to play there 90% of the time. But I was like, he's the lowest value you can get. And last game, he scored like an 80. So I was like, he could probably do it again. Alvaro Garcia was just someone that scores really well. That, I had his amount of points used up, so I did. Nico Williams is someone I've been watching at Atletico Bilbao, and I'm really impressed with him. He's not the end product. He's only like 19, 20. And I'm like, he could definitely get decisive in this game. And, for his price, I thought he's good value. Griezmann, I'm sure you'll know about, but he's kind of at the hub of everything Atletico Madrid have been doing. So I'm like, yeah, in this easy fixture, relatively easy fixture, it's one of the best fixtures you can have for the first game week. I'm like, probably worth picking him up. We also have Orlean Shemani then, long time fan of on the channel. He can always put up good scores. Koundé, as I spoke about, and our sub goalkeepers, obviously, ter Stegen, as we spoke about. So yeah, it's a pretty solid team. We'll see how it does really. I could do a little more research, but I think it's pretty solid so far. Like, a risk, but I do like it's a difficult game for Liverpool. And I'm focusing on underdog here. As long as this goalkeeper doesn't sell, like, we have our all-star, got a good chance of grinding out these thresholds. You forget how good the old system times. So for me, really solid team. I've taken Griezmann out because the Serie A is taking priority. Otherwise, he would be. Has made a great start to the club. I got him for like 30, 64 and a 70. Unai Simon's been pumping in value because his last scores are 70, 82, 66 and 2 0-0s as well, which is just, you've got a defensive stack. The only mistake I make is that Ure this guy. So Ure was someone I was looking to pick up, and I was like, oh, do you know what? I'll just get the cheap option of Martinez. Martinez hasn't played since he's back. He's now guaranteed injured, so I'm like not sure what to do. But he did peak at price of 261, and I was like, that's too high. 227, I think I'd be willing to pay. There's one ending on auction, so I'm going to try and pick that up with my spare reef. But his scores has just been scary, man. Like an 80 with no decisives, a 65 with no decisives. In nil-nils, you know, you might think, oh, that's only because they kept a clean sheet. But I already had the goalkeeper, so I would have doubled them up. I would have had that correlation. It would have been great, but unfortunately didn't have that. So essentially, to conclude, what we're doing moving forward is the same strategy I outlined in the last video. We are moving into Champion Europe, where we're trying to win like those Premier League cards, which we expect to come, those high value rewards in Champion Europe with what isn't the most expensive team in the division. It's like a middleweight fighting up to the heavyweights. That's what we're trying to be here. Then on top of that, we're trying to go super hard on the cap division. You know, it's one of those divisions where knowledge is key. The more you know about football, the more you know about the game, the better you're going to do. So I'm hoping I can use my knowledge there. We're picking up players like Gamboa and Milas and Fernandez. We've got some limiteds to, you know, try in the limited division as well. And then just adding those all together to try and win, you know, limited divisions with rare divisions and just keep winning as much as we can, really. Maybe I narrow down the gallery. What I'm considering doing as a last effort is selling off all my Challenger Europe players, maybe even getting rid of the under-23s, except for my favourites. So Enzo I've had for too long. Jota is just not leaving, and Guindo is a 1 of 1,000 first ever rookie mint, so I can't get rid of him. But the rest of the guys might be worth selling, even though they're tough to say goodbye to. Szymanski, Hart, all the Celtic guys be very difficult to get rid of. But like I said, I need a little more time. I need, you know, focus on a few teams rather than making lots of teams slightly worse. That's what I'm thinking. I'll let you know if that happens in the next episode. If you did like it, please subscribe to the channel. And yeah, all the best to you. Cheers.